to say them, in a nice way. Certain situations that you have where I tried not to use a certain type of language, but when I wrote it, it didn't sound like it was real. And actually, you still see some of that in some parts where I try to keep all vulgar or profanity out. And it was no way to do that and make a real story. But you will only see that language used sparingly in the context of people speaking. Not in the content of the writing or the scripting. You will not see those words. And it was, like I said, it was a battle, but I decided I used the mantra that people look at TV all day, people walk down the streets, we hear those words, kids hear those words. I actually hear 5 and 6 year old kids in the neighborhood where my daughter stays use words and perform gyrations and do a lot of adult stuff that no child should be doing. And if we don't address those issues or we don't talk about those issues, then our children will get those views from society. So that's one reason I wanted to show the utter vulgarity of some acts. And I would just like to take this time to read an excerpt from the book, just detailing the point that I'm trying to make. This is in the 3rd chapter. I don't know if anybody has the book, but it was right after the main character Slick had experienced some explicit activity, and the activity brought about guilt. And I'll just read this brief passage. It says, although he had just experienced what many men only fantasize about, there was an empty void that consumed his spirit. He knew he had a few so-called friends and clouded the streets, but Slick longed for something more in life. He oftentimes wondered about the lifestyle he lived and the people he dealt with every day. He knew the end result of the game he played, but still felt obligated to the streets and the people he supported with the money. He lived a comfortable life, it seemed, on the outside. However, internally, he was constantly at war with his conscience and moral values, battling his worldly and natural desires. With his mind contemplating his purpose on earth, Slick grabbed a remote and flicked on the television. And there you see, he has those thoughts of doing right, but then, he disregards them because his conscience, is too much to face. He just underwent that act and he's feeling guilty. And I would go on a little bit further in that chapter as, the self-evaluation and the self-lamentation continued after that act. When everyone was gone and you have to really deal with yourself. I'll read, these 3 paragraphs to further, emphasize that point. It says, the cigarette burned in the ashtray while Slick laid back and allowed the drug to drip into his lungs. His mind automatically reverted back to the episode that he had engaged in with the 2 girls. The obscenity and the lewdness of his action caused vomit to rise in his stomach. The portrait of unnatural acts sickened Slick. He remembered the misuse of his sperm and was ashamed that he would waste his seed in that manner, knowing how badly he wanted children. His random and casual sexual encounters may have been the reason that he had been childless thus far. He reasoned that he was being punished for his total disrespect and lackadaisical approach towards an act ordained by God. And he was reminded of the passage in the Bible that he read about Onan. Onan was commanded to marry his brother's widow to keep the family bloodline alive. But while having sex with his new wife, he did not ejaculate into her, but instead allowed his sperm to hit the ground. And the Bible said that the action displeased God, therefore God killed him on sight, if I'm not mistaken. And then the last paragraph says, Slick shuddered at the thought of how many times he had deviated from the true purpose meant for his seed. He began to feel more wretched as he tried to calculate the number of women he had been with over his lifetime. Slick determined that there was no hope of redemption for him in God's eyes, so why should he even think about changing his life? With that erroneous assumption, Slick turned to his God and took a few more snorts. And there we have a prime example of some of the things that the main character all vices that are brought about by those demonic feelings, like like I said, that feeling of worthlessness or that feeling of hopelessness that you've done so wrong that you can't get away from it. And that's just one example of the extremity in the actions while the party's going on, or while everyone's around, and while the action is pleasurable, but then afterwards, when you're alone at night, and those feelings and those guilt come back on you, then you really see what is true and what is real when you're constantly in the habitual. And like I said, there are several events that could be considered controversial or too direct, but those events were also reciprocated by allowing those feelings, showing the detriment of those actions as well. Not to promote these actions in any way, but to show the detrimental side of becoming some of those actions. And as far as the makeup and how I got the book published, this is a pretty much self-published book. I wrote it. I started, like I said, in 2008. Worked on it for 3 months. Picked it up in 2011. Worked on it for another 3 or 4 months, and it was done. I edited it. I copyrighted it. I revised it. The only thing I needed the use of was a printer, and I found one, and I pretty much gave them the amount that they requested to print a certain amount of books, and here I am today, published author, self-published. And my goal is to promote it myself as much as I can, and get it out there as much as I can, and put it in the hands of someone who can, give me a major distribution or give me some kind of advance of what I think that it would be worth. And that's where, I obtained the pricing from of 27, which, under consideration, I think it's worth more than that, but, under consideration and the time, and the times I decided, that 20 would just be a flat 20 rate would maybe be a better price. And with that being said, I wish I could just give them away, just to get the story out, but it's not feasible for me because I wouldn't be able to sustain myself and recoup the money that I invested. So what I wanted readers to get out of the book was to realize the futility and the utter uselessness of certain types of lifestyles and things that we sometimes chase after, whether it be money, prestige, cars, relationships, things that cause so much strife and gives us so much inner turmoil. We really realize that, in the end, when those situations come, that, the only thing that really is important is family, well-being, the healthy relationships, and those things that really matter. And I also wanted this book to serve as sort of a deterrent by portraying disease in such a direct manner to those who are not involved in any type of illegalities or any type of criminal actions to deter from that. And I would also encourage, I would also like the book to encourage those who are still entrenched in those lifestyles, whether it be like I said, promiscuity, whether it be, drug use, gambling, anything that is detrimental to the whole community's well-being. I definitely want to show these events in a negative light, and not in the positive light that so many works have given us, and just promoted that type of lifestyle to our youth. I don't want to get too political. I've been doing some things as far as community activism, speaking, poetry, just trying to address some situations in not only the urban community, but in the global community, in the world as a whole. There's a lot of things that are more than love of God, having the form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such, turn away. And that's who I was in the book. You know, I was one of those guys. If I was that guy today, you know, I would tell you to turn away from me. Or if I would be that guy, I would tell people to turn away from me. And that is pretty much the gist of the book. And you know, my reason for writing this book, pretty much like I said, was to serve as a therapeutic process. First of all, but then, you know, as I began to receive that therapy, I knew that I would also receive some type of benefit from that just by reading my life in that third party form or forming the story in that form. And now I would love to open up the floor for questions. Anything that I didn't cover about the book, anything that you want to know about the book. I don't see anyone in here who's already read it. Pretty much been getting good reviews from everyone who's read it. You know, whether it be a chapter or two. Everyone tells me keeps their attention. Like I said, in some parts it may be too detailed. But like I said, maybe the first 6 chapters, because it was at a time where I just had to slow everything down and really just look at myself. And, you know, I just dived into myself. And with that being said, does anyone have any questions of anything that I might have didn't cover or anything that you would like to know more about the book?
You find yourself describing more of the consequences. A lot of times when people write stories of this nature, they tend to almost glorify the bad instead of describing more of the consequence of the bad. So did you describe, did you go in depth into the consequences of the actions that you?
Most definitely. I did, like I said, I may have spent an ample amount of time on those actions, those bad actions. But yet still I made the point clear. I tried to pretty much at the end of every chapter, I tried to drive that point home, that how much I was suffering because of these actions. Whether it was the drug use, whether it be the women, whether it be, the hustling, whether it be the alcohol, whether it would be, the pressures from others pulling on, whether it be just the confused mind state of, like I said, knowing right and doing wrong. And, and you living, you look like you're good, you're riding high, but, like I said, when the party stops and, when the phone stops ringing and everyone goes home, and then you left with reality staring you in the face. And then that's when you turn back and say, well, how, what do I turn to now? And then you turn back to, whatever was keeping the party going. And that was a constant cycle in my life. But like I said, it was one chapter where I pretty much, I don't want to give too much away, but I had to pretty much